I just got the YouTube notification for it. That's funny.
All right. Back over here. All right. Go ahead and stop sharing. All right. What's up, everybody? We got Ruben Vargas in the house. What's up, Ruben? How you doing, man?
What's going on, Dell? It's going good, man. It's going good. Good to talk to you today, man.
Fantastic. So, yeah, for everybody who didn't know, this is a pretty impromptu interview. I do these times, and I got a chance to chat with Ruben yesterday, and we were talking flat earth for about half hour. He's telling me some things, but yeah, so yeah, tell the folks a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, I'm a professional mixed martial artist. That's what I do. I train every day, real hard. I've been in the military for a little while. Um, Out here in the Twin Cities, Minnesota. Lots of water out here to make lots of water to fact check whether there's curvature or not. Land at
Right.
10,000 lakes, it's more like 20,000 to be honest. There's a pond around every corner, it seems like. Was born and raised in Chicagoland area, Northwest Indiana, and been out here for a little while. Um, Man, I've been looking into flat earth stuff for a little over 3 years now. I was on my last deployment. I came across a video by Eric Dubai, and in that 20-minute video, it killed pretty much any globe argument I would have had prior. For a little while, I trolled it, and seemed like for a
Say
little while I was
trolled it.
trolling it, man. I was trolling it. I was like, there's no way, there's no way. But sure enough, I was my conscience was really starting to get the better of me, and I started to look into it more. And next, here I am over 3 years later, and every day for the last 3 years, I've dedicated at the very minimum a half hour, sometimes up to 5 to 6 hours a day. Researching, studying history, and even the science behind why we would believe that the Earth is a globe as to opposed to flat, and even and that the earth is flat. So, and now I can proudly say that I don't think the earth is flat. I know the earth is flat, and anyone who's got a problem with that can have a conversation with me about it. And you know I could tell them why the earth is flat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, and we also got Vegan Warrior on the line. What's happening, bro?
What's up, man?
What's good, Steve? What's good? What's up, Ruben? How you doing, brother?
It's good, man. Good. Nice to talk to you, man.
All right. All right. I'm just gonna sit in the background and and I'll chime in whenever you guys want me to chime in.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is your show too, bro. Hop in whenever. Um, but yeah, Ruben. So how long you been fighting, man? What got you into that?
Well, I've been doing martial arts since I was like 5 years old, man. My dad was real big into martial arts, and it got me into martial arts at a real young age. And I fell in love with it. Fell in love with Bruce Lee movies and playing with nunchucks. And uh, I did traditional martial arts most of my life up until I was about 15. I got into boxing and kickboxing and jujitsu, and I've been training in hard and in those three disciplines for almost 12 years now. I've been going hard with boxing, kickboxing, and jujitsu, and I've got 27 fights overall between mixed martial arts, boxing, and kickboxing. My overall record would be 22-5. Um, it's been a little while since my last fight. I was dealing with an injury the past year, so I'm hoping to get back in there strong this year, and really get back in there and make a bigger name for myself. Um, but in the meantime, I've just been staying busy on social media, trying to up the followers all the time and post good content and everything. And in the downtime, I've been looking into a lot of flat earth stuff, man.
Oh
All the
yeah,
time, all the
yeah.
time.
That happens a lot.
I was pretty, I
That
was
happens to a
pretty,
lot of people.
I was pretty sad. I really, really wanted to make the convention in November, but I had drill that weekend, and it broke my heart because I've been
Oh,
looking.
right. You're also in the army, yeah. How long you
Yep.
been in?
A little while now. Yeah.
Okay,
So, yep.
that's cool. Yeah, man. I'm saying I was actually considering making a video yesterday. Somebody was threatening to expose my identity as a 92 Yankee unit supply specialist while I
Oh,
was in
yep.
the
Yep.
army. Yeah, man. about to get exposed for being a supply guy. so,
Right. I
so
mean,
I,
I'll tell you
I,
straight up. I'm an infantry guy, and I'm part of a recon platoon. But as far as like specifics and stuff like that, I just so you know, yeah. But yeah, I'm an infantry guy, and I'm part of a recon platoon. But that's for a little while. So
yeah, I can dig it. All right, man. So
hey,
while
supply
we
is
were,
important, bro. Supply is
hey,
important.
dude, I'm saying, I
Supply is
mean,
important.
how y'all gonna shoot if nobody brings you the bullets?
Supply is important, man. I don't ever hate
Hey,
on the supply specialist, bro. They they, they make
hey,
sure they get me right.
look, yeah, man. Look, if it wasn't for the supply, I mean, your guns will still be locked up in the arms room. You know what I mean? Y'all,
You
y'all,
ain't lying.
y'all, y'all don't have clearance. I was in an infantry unit. I know how that goes. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I feel you, man.
they will be sitting downstairs waiting around for me to show up with the keys, with the key
I,
box,
I
so I
do
could open
not
up the
hate on
arms
supply.
room and issue out the weapons. Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember that. So, hey, don't be trying to flex on the supply folks. You know what I'm saying?
I don't. I don't.
Every part is important. Okay.
Yeah, yes,
So
yes, it is.
yeah, man. But we were talking. You said you do some motivational speaking. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, yeah. So the company I work for, I go around and I speak at schools and teach them about like leadership and fitness, and I work with kids, kindergarten all the way up through seventh grade, and that's what I do for my full time job. Every 2 weeks I'm at a different school, and spreading a good word to kids, trying to inspire them, challenging them, push-up competitions, all sorts of stuff, doing runs with them, playing in their gym classes, recesses, and then spending time in their classrooms every day, give them a lesson on leadership. And so I spend a lot of time working with kids. Been doing that for a few months now. It's been awesome.
That's cool, man.
Yeah,
That's
it's been
really
awesome.
cool.
I left my full-time job. I was doing top end assembly on gas engines, um, and even uh, like cleaning diesel parts and detailing. And I worked there for several years, full time, and I was looking for something more fulfilling in my life, and I left that for this job, which I don't feel like I've worked a day in my life. I just love what I do, talking to kids all day. So
Yeah. I mean, that's what's been said. I can't remember exactly who said that, but yeah, when you do something you love, it doesn't even feel like work. So that's cool. That's really cool. So I mean, we already kind of went over what got you into flat Earth. Um, and you had told me that you were already a geocentrist anyway, so it wasn't really a tough transition. Like, how did all that come about?
yeah, so I got into one of my best friends who's a lawyer now. Him and I we were really into Robertson Genesis, the principal, when it first came out, and we were like waiting for that movie to come out. Um, in We were waiting for that movie to come out in theaters back in like 2013 or whatever it was that it came out, and
Mm,
we just couldn't wait. And we had been looking into it. Me personally, I'm a very Christian person. I don't know how a lot of people are as far as like when they read their Bibles. Like I take the Bible literally. Um, and I remembered, all throughout my life, I was trying to make the world or the Bible fit into the worldview, scientifically, historically, when in reality, like I was seeing that I shouldn't be trying to make the Bible fit what we're being taught, by man, when in reality, that's God's word, in my opinion. Um, and I don't know, because not everybody in the flat earth movement is, a Christian. Um, but at least for me, well, the funny thing is I was into flat earth for like 2 years before I even realized it was biblical. That's a
mm,
different, that's a whole different story. Um, but because of that, I always believed, I mean, Joshua, it says, General Joshua stopped the sun, and that being
yeah,
said, like, if we believed that, we were spinning around the sun, it wouldn't make any sense for, the sun to stop, because we're supposedly spinning around it, but he stopped the sun for more daylight. And there's just that, and even in just the Genesis account, chapter 1, of God placed the stars, moon, and the sun inside of the firmament. All that easily showed me that the Earth was definitely the center, of creation. Now at that time, I still believed in a physical universe and solar system and all that. I just thought we had the model wrong. But once I started looking into flat Earth and then started for the first time looking into, because I was a NASA fanboy. I still remember when I was in third grade, one of my favorite teachers was my science teacher. And I also remember in third grade having my parents sit down in the living room, and I was reading out of this big space book, which is still my dad's house in Indiana, this big space book. And I mean, it's massive. I mean, I was like, I'm not very tall. I'm like 5'7". At the time, I was like probably 3 foot nothing. But like, this thing was like almost my entire like height, and I was opening up, reading to them the facts about the sun and how we could fit a million Earths inside the sun, and it's, X amount of million miles away, 93 million or whatever. And I remember giving them this 8-minute presentation, thinking that I was a scientist. And my entire life, I like
Right.
my entire life, I was always huge into space. There's a guy, there's a pastor out there named Louis Giglio who I was a huge fan of. I still think he's a great guy. But like I remember listening to this. He put together a compilation of stars and whales making noises, and like they use their radio telescopes to like capture sounds and whatnot out in
Mhm.
what's supposed to be space, and he put them together to make a mix, and he mixed it into this song by Chris Tomlin called "How Great Is Our God." And I remember I would listen to that on repeat and watch the video. It's like 8-minute long video, and like get chills thinking about how cool it was. So, you know, a lot of people want to act like we don't know anything about like the global. I've always been huge into all that stuff, and for the first time in my life, looking into how NASA is deceptive about all that stuff, seeing how it's actually lies. And it people think they can look at one video and have all the proof. This is hours upon hours. You know what it's like, bro. Like this is
Yeah,
hours
absolutely.
and hours and hours of research and just watching, watching the glitches in their CGI and the bubbles in space. I mean, it's once you start looking into it, and then it's just laughable when someone tries to show me something, from NASA. I'm just like, come on,
Right.
man. Like, come on, we're past that.
Oh,
We're past
oh,
that.
those are some nice cartoons you got there, buddy.
Oh yeah, those are real nice cars. And now, like I was telling you yesterday on the phone, I'm real close with my brother, and we every time I've been trolling him for about 2 years now, hard. And yesterday we were watching the movie. We were watching that new Predator movie, and it was a funny movie, good movie, a lot of good action, all that. But we've watched like in the last few months, we've watched a few movies together, and all of them have something to do with space and like entering the Earth. And I've been every time that happens, I go, bro, I can't believe they went all the way to space just to film this movie for this 15-second clip. I can't believe they went all the way outside the Earth's atmosphere, 237,000 miles away, towards the moon, just to film this video. And he looked at me, and I'd be like, wait, they can't fake that, can they? Wait, you mean they can fake space? No, I had no idea. So I've been like trolling people pretty hard lately about that, and it kind of like flips them like into like seeing it how we see it, because a lot of people, they are dead serious that space cannot be faked. And I'm like, bro, it would be so easy to fake space. It's crazy how like as technology has gotten better, now space suddenly looks better too, just
Yeah.
as time goes on. So
Right. Couldn't have
yeah,
anything. Couldn't have a correlation to the advancements in you know.
modern technology, yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely not.
Yeah,
Definitely got nothing to do with all that.
right.
Good Lord, man. So I mean, here when you're having a conversation with somebody, like, what's your go-to explanation as to your kill shot, as it were.
My kill shot is water, bro, because like everyone wants to talk about like land masses not being able to see land. I still, the most like laughable to me still is, oh, if the earth was flat, why can't I see Mount Kilimanjaro from here? And then I'm just like, man, like you can't even read the bottom line on your eye exam, and you're asking me why you can't see Mount Kilimanjaro from here. like
Right.
like give me a break, man. Like 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 atmosphere, the density in the atmosphere, perspective. People don't understand perspective, like, and like we talked about yesterday, people still think that you have to be 200,000 feet away from the Earth to see the curvature of it, but you can see ships disappearing over the horizon hull first, right? Like we
Right,
all
right.
we all saw the Bill Nye episode. I think I was like 8 or 9 years old when he's like, "Look, this is why we know the Earth is curved." When
Oh
in
yeah, yeah.
reality, we
It's
all know now that
it's
it's
a big
perspective.
curve. Like it's a big curve, but it's curved. I'm like,
Right.
dude, stop. And then they had the table, the little model table with the curve at
Yes.
the end of it,
Yes.
like the last couple feet. I'm like, really? Come on,
I,
man. That's
I
that's not
remember
how water works. Get out of here.
I saw that in the video, and then I was like, oh man, I totally remember watching that with my sister. I was like, man, I totally remember that. So yeah, man, like I always tell them water, and they want to talk about, oh, like I'm like, yeah, we can't see things because of perspective, but I'll tell people, I'm like, hey, how much of the Earth? I start asking them questions. How much of the Earth is water? Oh, like 70, goes 71. So if the Earth, if the Earth is 71% water, and water is always flat and level, a basic physics 101, right? And like the earth, the water is always flat and level.
Right.
And if 71% of the earth is water, then what's curving? Like, and if
Yeah.
gravity, if this force is pulling water to the surface of the earth, why don't we see water like, like making like some sort of spiral circle, or like, being pressed down? It's just sitting there. It's the idea that water is being held down to the bottom of the earth right now by this same gravitational force that is being defied by a baby taking its first steps right now as we're
Yeah.
speaking.
Right.
Is just, like when I talk to them, like Australia, right, floating down there, on the down under, right? So right now,
Down
the
under.
same the same gravitational force, so, fake gravitational force that's holding this a ship that weighs tons to the bottom of this water right now is being trolled by a baby taking its first steps, or bumblebees that don't even bumblebees hover, like that, like what, since they hover,
Yeah.
they don't even fly. So they're bumblebees are they're just out there doing their own thing, like people don't understand basic density and buoyancy, that easily explains why objects fall down. Then you have those trolls like what's his name, I always mix it up, Neil Tyson deGrasse or Neil deGrasse Tyson,
Yeah. Neil,
the,
Neil
the
deGrasse Tyson and
Neil
Shield
deGrasse Tyson,
Bill Nye. That is.
Bill Nye, yeah, the actors, like,
Yeah.
you got him, like, first off, they put him on a platform where they know people just are going to embrace mainstream news as fact, and they have him, drop a microphone. This is gravity. No, that's density. That that microphone weighs a lot more than the air. You know,
Right.
put helium inside of a balloon and then try to drop that, and then explain gravity. Because if you don't put helium in that balloon and you let that balloon sit on the ground, supposedly something's pulling that down. No, it just weighs more than the air. So people just don't. Or I like to point to explain like density and buoyancy. I like to point to if you take a can of Diet Coke and a can of regular Coke and put them both in a tub, the can of regular Coke will sink to the bottom, but the can of Diet Coke will float because it's more buoyant than it is dense.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, you should try that
Oh,
experiment out.
that's pretty good. Okay.
Yeah,
That's pretty good. I hadn't heard about that one,
yep,
actually.
yep. It's
That
a
was
good
new.
one.
Let me write that down.
Yeah, check
Hold
that
up.
out. It's a good one. You're
Let's
welcome.
see.
I can't believe
Well,
I
my,
had the
like
I had
Coke.
the privilege. I had the privilege of, like, and I was telling you yesterday, man, I've been such a big fan of yours, man. Like I tell a lot of times I tell people that, I've got friends who are, pilots and stuff like that. And I tell them like, hey, like, how do you adjust for curvature? And they tell me, oh, gravity. And I'm like, that's,
Yeah, of course.
that's interesting. So you're not like constantly fighting against gravity, like,
Yeah.
and,
What about the artificial horizon? Isn't the main component of that a gyroscope? And isn't that gyroscope calibrated while it's on the ground in order to know when the plane is level? So when the plane actually takes off, the gyroscope's already calibrated to fly on a level surface. So why is it not showing any downward adjustment for curvature? What
right,
I mean,
right.
Just some
I mean,
off the wall stuff like that.
bro, you took a level up there in a plane and timed your flight, man. And I tell people about that all the time, which is why, like, for me, it was an honor to be able to actually talk to you. Like, I was like, man, I tell people all the time, like, man, this dude took a level on a plane and flew, like, and recorded like 20 minutes worth of it. That thing didn't move at all. Please tell me about to show me that level.
Oh, boom! There it is, right there.
My man, there it is, right there.
Boom!
I,
The most important level.
I was like, man, that didn't,
I don't know.
it's so funny, so
Yeah, man.
railroad track, like who's like, are they making railroad tracks that curve downwards, like
Uh,
on a flat plane?
yeah, no.
It's not happening.
I
It
don't
ain't
think so.
happening.
Especially here. I don't know. Like we got to figure out like the longest. Let me see. Do they have railroads, like trains that actually are built that go over water? Because I mean that kind of blows it out of the way. Stuff like the bridge, the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway. Globe believers like to use that one as one of their proofs because that one picture that guy put up, I guess Soundly, I think, and it supposedly shows curvature right there, but at the same time, you look left and right, and it's completely flat. So they're
Right,
thinking that it curves out that way, but it doesn't curve this way. But if we're on a ball, it's gonna curve on the X and Y axis. Period.
right, right. Once again,
But
it's just a basic misunderstanding of perspective.
yeah, yeah,
That's
it's
all
like
it
it's
is.
like yeah, like causeways like that. Um, like long bridges over water. Man, I mean that just pretty much seals it up. When you see one thing that locked it in for me, another thing that locked it in for me, that is, it was a video. It was from a video that Jeranism did, and actually Vegan Warrior was talking in that video, and it showed like the this long I don't know what was going on. It was like somebody had a drone following a car on this road, and the road was like, it seemed like it was maybe 10 to 12 feet above water, and it followed this car. The drone followed and recorded this car driving for like what looked like 5 miles, and I'm like, that's perfectly flat, and it just that cemented it right there. That type of simple stuff, man. And it just makes all the sense in the world. The whole idea that water starts to curve after a certain distance is it's ridiculous. But we had to be programmed to believe that stuff since we were babies, or it would
Absolutely.
have never worked. It would have never worked.
I will tell you that so going back to like when I first heard flat earth, like, like I said, initially my mind was a little blown. I was like, oh man, this really sucks if I've been like, you know if I've been like being trolled my entire life, like and then I was like, wait, no, I've totally got, the nail in the, cross right here, because I've recreationally skydived from from 13,800 feet. And
Yeah.
now, even though I could remember very clearly, it looking flat. I have a video of it. It's actually on my YouTube page, that I don't advertise very well, but the video of me skydiving back in 2012 is on my YouTube page. And I remember, I remember looking. I remember I could physically see the curvature of the Earth, and like I'll never forget when I watched that video. I was like, "Oh man, I was so high I could see the curvature of the Earth." Well, I uploaded on my YouTube channel back 7 years ago, and I've never watched it after that. So the first thing I did was go back and look at that. I was like, oh, I can kill this whole thing right here. And then for the first time, I pay attention to it, and I started noticing the Earth going from round to flat to convex, and I'm like, what in the world is going on here? So at the end of that video, it has the name of the guy who recorded the video. So I don't use Facebook anymore. I haven't posted on Facebook in like over a year, probably like 13, 14 months. But I had at the time when I used Facebook, I went on Messenger and I looked this dude up, and I was like, hey man, you recorded a video of me skydiving. I sent him the video, and I was like, I was just curious, what kind of camera do you use? And because I was getting into like looking at like fisheye lens and stuff like that, learning what those were.
Hmm.
And and he told me, he's like, yeah, I use this, and I screenshotted the conversation, and then I looked up the camera, and sure enough, it said that it was a fisheye lens camera. And I was like, oh my god, that makes so much sense. And then
Dang.
you see these, adjust or these, fixed cameras, like the cameras that are normal that aren't gonna just make everything curve, and
Mm,
they go up 120,000 feet, and the Earth is completely flat. And and for a while, like, I like how Rob Skiba pointed out, in the Red Bull jump, a lot of people point to Felix Lombard or whatever his name is, who did the Red
mm,
Bull jump,
yeah.
like, oh, a guy jumped from space and you could see how, yeah, on planet New Mexico. I like the way he says it, planet New Mexico. You
Right.
look at that part of the Earth, and the entire Earth would be New Mexico, like, and for
Yeah.
how much curvature was being shown. And then how it shows that the same amount of curvature being showed from whatever the distance was he jumped was 10 feet off the ground. And people just need to learn what a fisheye lens camera is and how it makes. I've got a photo on my Instagram of me walking up before a fight, and I'm staring at the camera all intense and whatnot, and it's
Yeah.
a fisheye lens camera, and it makes the background in a room look like things are curving around me. And I'm like, man, like, people just need to understand this basic principle. This is fake curvature. It's not real, you know. And
Yep.
then you got people like our boy Neil, who's gonna, say that oh, now all of a sudden he's saying it's flat when you're 120,000 feet up. Yeah, it looks, of
Oh,
course it looks flat, you
oh,
know.
he messed that whole thing up. I think that's in a little bit of trouble now because I'm saying once the community, I saw it on one video, and then after that I saw it on a couple other videos. But his little talk at South by Southwest, talking about Felix's jump and all that, that pretty much destroyed that argument for the Globe side, and that was one of their favorite ones.
Yes.
And Neil happens to be one of their trusted priests in this whole scientism religion.
Priest. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, one of the one of the more prominent scientism priests. So he comes out and he's talking about the Red Bull edge of space jump, and he says you wouldn't be able to see curvature from there. That's like this far away from the globe. That stuff is flat. And then he
Right.
did the hand gesture and everything. I was like, oh, that's gold. Oh
Right.
man,
It's
yeah.
pear shaped.
Oh,
It's
they're
pear
done.
shaped
They're
from there.
done.
Yeah, it's pear shaped from there. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
yeah,
it's so funny watching
yeah,
that.
man.
You
Yeah,
know,
they,
and
they, they I think they had to get rid of them just because we found that. Like, you idiot! You just destroyed one of our best arguments. You
right.
know what I'm saying?
I like how you pointed out scientism. Because that is something that I do want to touch on, if you'd allow me to. Is, like I mentioned earlier, I'm a Christian guy. I'm a Bible believing Christian. I don't get into religion. For people who call me religious, I will tell you right now, you're wrong. I don't follow organized religion whatsoever. I haven't even been to church in like 2 years. But I am in my Bible. Um,
Hmm.
and I do take that literally. And whether you like it or not, people out there, the Bible is a flat Earth book from front to back. There's over 240 different passages in the Bible describing that it's flat and stationary. And the I you can't fit a flat Earth model into this Copernican heliocentric view of the universe. So for anybody out there who wants to, send pictures and of the Earth looking like a pizza amongst all these, round planets in, the solar system, on when they don't even have a full size scale model of the solar system for one, like,
Yeah,
that's ridiculous, and that's not what we believe at all. Because it just goes to to show, like, how many people they want to continuously try to debunk flat Earth without ever having to look into flat Earth. And that's an advantage we hold over them, is they forget that we at one point in time were globe earthers. We totally believed in a globe earth. Like I said, I was a NASA fanboy, like, um and it like I was talking to you yesterday, man. NASA knows what's going down. They know what's happening. That, like, I I never in my life, and I know you said you neither, and maybe even Vegan Warrior, you probably the same thing, bro. Like, all the NASA gear I see on kids at schools and the backpacks. And man, I was walking, I was visiting my hometown, Indiana, not too long ago. And
Mhm.
there was a guy wearing this really, really nice Apollo 11 jacket. I mean, it looked like a, bro, I was like, man, if NASA
So
doesn't pay you to
Versace.
wear that, oh, bro, it was nice. It was black and it had like gold seams and like I was like, dang, bro, like you straight up like you must work for NASA, like. And I looked at him. I go, hey man, have you ever looked into the moon landings being faked? And he looked at me and goes, just get out of here, man. I go, man, I'm just saying, bro, like you know, you're gonna tell me President Nixon made a phone call from the White House to the Earth. 200.
Right.
I got on him, bro, right in front of the gas station attendant. I go,
With
bro, wait, you're
with a
telling
land on a landline,
on a
huh?
landline.
Really?
I go,
Really?
you're telling me in 1969, President Nixon made a landline phone call from the White House to the moon, 237,000 miles away through the thick radiation of space. Is that what you're telling me? And he's like, man, I don't got time for you. And he walked away. I go, okay,
Ah,
that's fine. Because I got all the time in the world. I was on vacation. And I was like, I'll sit down and have a real long conversation with you about it.
man,
You
why
know,
you
I was
out here
about to go,
tearing up people's space dreams, man? What's going
man,
on?
dude,
Really?
that's what. Well, you know, it helps when you can it helps when you can fight really well. You're not worried about what you're gonna say to people. You know, like
Right, right.
you know, like
Like you get out loud. I beat your
I,
oh.
right. Like I'll straight up, I'll walk through I'd walk through a I'd walk through a Clinton campaign movement wearing a Hillary for prison shirt. You know, because I'm like, what's someone gonna do to me? You know, like, what are you gonna do to me?
you
Like,
you a
you know,
troublemaker, man.
yeah,
I'm,
you
I'm,
know,
I'm saying, look, your hands should be registered as weapons, and you around here wearing some shirts talking about like I wish somebody would.
yeah.
God
I've
dang.
I've walked through campuses and stuff wearing shirts that say like liberalism is a mental disorder. I've got it all, man. I'm wearing a flat Earth shirt right now. It's my favorite shirt to wear to Chipotle. So you
That's
know
what's up.
that one, and I wear like a one that like has the NASA Lies logo on it, and I got another one that's the it's just a I think I might have it in here in my car with me. I can't remember. It's a picture of the azimuthal equidistant map, which when people
Oh yeah.
don't I did bring it with me just in case everyone was wondering what that looked like.
Boom.
Got
There it is.
a map right there,
Got the
and
AE on deck.
yeah. So just for when people have questions, I hit them with that.
Yeah, man. Look, I'm trying to go all tech savvy. I now got I just got my iPad fixed. So
All right.
I got my little joint right here. Flat Earth on the go on this thing. So I like pull this stuff out. I can be sitting down anywhere talking to folks about Flat Earth. I could pull up a video and I'll just be sitting at a Starbucks or something. I got ODD playing in the back of some Marty Leeds, something like this. Just you know what I'm saying, doing my thing, just red pilling. Like an introvert.
I love it.
I
No,
was sit.
that's like
I was
the lock screen on my phone. The lock screen on my phone is the picture from 120,000 feet up, from a weather balloon. Of it being flat, and then the background on my phone is an AE map. So when
yeah.
people and I'll like spend extra time if someone's like over my shoulder, and I'm like I'm just waiting for them to ask me what type of map is that. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad you asked me because I'd love to tell you what kind of map this is. And yeah, man.
I like to tell them I'm like, no when I'm not wearing some Flat Earth stuff and I got my medallion on, they're like, what's that you got on there? I'm like, oh, this is the UN logo.
Oh
And
yeah.
they just pause for a minute. They're like, why are you wearing a UN logo? Oh, well, I mean, you recognize this, right? Yeah. Well, no, it's actually a flat Earth map. But for some reason or another, the United Nations uses a flat Earth map as their logo.
Yeah,
I,
bro.
that's all I'm saying. And then I'll just leave.
Bro, straight up. I
Leave
love
walking
that
off
too.
like, what?
Because I can't tell you how many people like I talk to about, it like the azimuthal equidistant map, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, that's stupid. I'm like, really? Hold up a second. It's the UN logo. Is it really stupid? And then I got a good link I could send you of and actually Nathan did a video with this, Nathan Thompson. Shout out to you, Nathan.
All
It's a
right.
homeboy for sure. I talked to him, and I actually have the link pulled up and ready to go on my phone of a 1945, World War II map, an AE map that they used, for like and it shows like the routes they would take, to and from places. So I got that link, ready to go on one of my tabs in my phone all the time. For the moment people try to like, tell me that it's ridiculous, I'm like, oh really? Well, it seemed to work pretty well in World War II. I don't know how much the world has changed,
Right.
geographically since then. But people like, and it's like I was talking to you yesterday, man. Like people, they don't understand that when people see that you have more knowledge than them in a certain area, they almost want to like troll that you're a nerd or you're a geek or you're a weirdo. Like they want to make it sound like it's odd that you know so much about something. When like, and you can pick, whatever word you want to put on it. But where I'm at in most places, when I get in a conference, and I'm sure you are too, and even Vegan Warrior, you probably too, like people just lack information and they're uncomfortable with that. They're uncomfortable with lacking information.
Yeah,
And I try
that's
to
that's that's that ego. That's all
it's
that
that's
is.
all it is. Like, and I try to explain to them, like, listen, you're not dumb. You've just never looked into it. But I promise if you look into it, you're gonna see right away that it makes way more sense. And I forget who said it, originally, but they say it's easier to fool somebody than to convince them that they've been fooled. You know,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
it's way easier. And a lot of people, that's why it's just ego, or like people want to seem like, we talked about this yesterday, like people want to seem like they're smart, and because they want to seem like they're smart, they don't actually know anything. They're just listening and believing what supposed smart people are saying. So they're just blindly believing a religion. And because this person has PhD at the end of their name, or even not, just because it's a mainstream accepted, fact, like they don't understand the same things, that the same reasons we believe that the earth is, curved, that's the
Right.
same reasons everybody believes that, are things that were supposedly found out 500 plus years ago, or Aristophanes 2000 years ago, and they think we don't know that. Like they think we don't know this stuff, and it's just laughable. It's real laughable.
Yep.
So
Absolutely, man.
Did
Uh,
you-
um, oh, oh, vegan. You got something, man?
Yeah, I was wondering, have you guys ever pondered the question what people thought about the shape of our Earth prior to organized religion? Do you think that early people or ancestors figured it out that the Earth was actually stationary and not a globe prior to a lot of the doctrines that now support that? I was wondering what you guys thought about it.
yeah, didn't a lot of the ancient societies had astrolabes, which were basically like handheld computers for them, which they used to track, the movement of the stars and the sun and the moon. And this
Right.
was, I mean, this is real ancient technology, and that was based off a flat stationary Earth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Personally, I figure. I mean, before anything was even written down, people were just
Right.
here experiencing the Earth as flat and stationary, and somewhere along the lines, there was there were ideas put down in certain ways and translated to, reflect what they were observing based on their experience, in my opinion. But I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure nobody woke up at one point and said, you know what? I'm pretty sure the Earth is spinning and I think it's curved. I don't think anybody ever did that because we
Right.
all experienced the Earth is flat and stationary, as has been the case for all of recorded history. It's just that so many people were indoctrinated with some old bull.
Right.
Right.
And I'd like to get into why they would have indoctrinated them, if you want.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
yeah, so obviously it was always widely accepted that the Earth was flat and stationary. And when the Protestant Reformation happened in 1517, Martin Luther, um,
Right.
he and the Bible, and then obviously, to skip a few chapters around, the Gutenberg press, Bibles were written faster, getting out faster than Catholics could burn lollards at the stake. So they did this, great Hegelian dialectic, and they twisted, they twisted it to where, so they took this book that had been hidden from the people that only priests could read for, you know, how long would that have been? 1,500 years or so, or 1,400 years or so, and
Right.
suddenly this book no longer had any value. Oh, actually, we don't care that you have it because, the earth is actually curved. And they did that through Galileo versus the church.
Right.
And anybody who looks into Galileo versus the church, and I don't mean watch a 5 minute, oh, Galileo versus the church. I mean, look into Galileo versus the church. He was a devout Catholic, which I personally don't have a problem trolling, or talking about the Catholic faith, because I think it's anything other than Christian, personally. Um,
Hmm.
but the like, if you look at the Inquisition that was happening to Christians by Catholic people, they were coming up with the worst possible tortures to people that even breathed wrong in the church's direction. So you're telling me Galileo came to them with this model that the earth was round, and like he walked up and, hey, by the way, you're wrong, and all they did was put him on house arrest? And his best art, your best argument, you're like, come on, be real. They were impaling people. They created coffins with spikes in them and put these
Yeah.
people in and closed it on them. They were torturing people to death. And you're telling me they put this homeboy on house arrest for telling
Yeah.
them, looking the Pope dead in his eye and saying you're wrong? Get out of here. That's what I mean. People don't look into this. And you know what? That's me too. Because I remember when I was in high school, and I went to a Christian high school. I went to a Christian high school and a Christian college, and I'll tell you that, in my time there, I never was taught that the Earth is flat. I learned Galileo versus the Church. I learned Ferdinand Magellan, and Christopher Columbus circumnavigated the world east to west. I learned all that stuff. Like, I get it, but we never look into that deep history of Galileo versus the church, and we never look into the deep history of these people, Johannes Kepler and Isaac Newton and Nicholas Copernicus. When I tell people Nicholas Copernicus was a Catholic, or and they're like, oh no, he wasn't. I'll go, yeah. Well, it's pretty crazy that they would consider him for the papacy for not being a Catholic. That's
Right.
in Catholic, like in the Roman Catholic library. That's in their dictionary. Like, and people think I'm crazy, and that's why they create. That's why I have their book, a catechism that is, in their opinion, on the same level as the Bible. They gave all that power to their church, and
Right.
and that's why they see the church, and like, people that are Catholics don't even understand that in the deep Catholic faith practices that the Pope is the vicar of Christ incarnated. They don't even know that. They
Right.
have no idea. They have no idea what indulgences are, or the 95 theses that Martin Luther, posted because of why they were wrong to build St. Petersburg Basilica. They don't know any of this stuff, and that bothers them. And if they do know it, they don't. Then you tell them, like, oh yeah, and then to flip, to make the Protestant Reformation, to halt it, we'll say, like, obviously it still had a great effect on the world, and it did its job for the most part. To widely stunt its growth, they just said, hey, the Bible's wrong. It's wrong. So don't take it
Pretty
for what
much.
it is. Just a misinformation. And yeah, and since from there, his best proof, Galileo's best proof for movement of the earth were the tides. Like, come on, man. Give me a break.
Yeah.
And even that's not proof for movement of the earth, but that was his best proof.
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
So to answer your question, I'm very long-winded, but to answer your question, that do they think about, like, I think they all knew that it was flat, stationary, and that things were rotating around us. And it wasn't until then, they try to use the fake model that Aristophanes figured it out 2,000 years ago, but we all know, if you look into that, he really didn't. I mean, I don't know if maybe text messaging was around back then. I don't know. Um, but like, when they try to use the argument that he put a stick on one side, and then he put a stick, or like, and then some, however many hundred of miles away, and like, and then somehow at the same time measured that one of them was curved at a different angle than the other. I'm like, really? Were they text messaging? Because Like 4,000 years ago, they were 2,000 years ago, they were text messaging. Wow, that's crazy. They were Snapchatting that. They must have been Snapchatting it because, or live streaming it on their Facebooks, because I
Yeah,
don't know how somebody got that information, was in one place at two times, or two places at one time. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
right, right,
When you and you ask somebody a question like that, and then they just like look at you.
right.
I'm just saying,
Well,
like,
the reason I asked the question because it came up on my live stream yesterday. I did a really long live stream yesterday, and one of the opinion of some of the people that were on the panel was that the Bible is a flat Earth um, book, and I mean, if you look into it and you read it, it does make reference to the four corners of the earth and so forth, the firmament and all that. But those ideas existed prior to the Bible. So, what asking and questioning those who was using that as a reference, what did the people actually think prior to the creation of the Bible? And what a lot of people don't quite understand is when the Bible was first written, it wasn't for the people. The people didn't know how to read for the
right.
most part. No formal educational system. So the elites were reading these documents. The elites were basically either agreeing or disagreeing with these documents. So I think we all know that the earth is flat with or without religion. I think religion captured the truth in what was already known and in some aspects was inserted in the document. So, but I think many people give credit to the Bible for flat earth when
Mm,
really flat earth was around way before the Bible.
sure.
Flat earth mankind has ever experienced the earth. So I just like to distinguish that sometimes because the religious aspect of this is to each his own. But at the same time, we have to look at our objectively and we need to ponder the idea of how man engages his natural, where we call home, the natural world. And the first man never contemplated. You can't convince me that the earliest people, the earliest ancestors, contemplated spinning, contemplated living on a ball, contemplated any of those ideas until the Europeans introduced that idea 2,000 or so years later. So when we talk about this subject, I honestly believe it goes religious ideology. I really do. Now, religion may be how some people, because they already inherently have their belief systems in place. But when you think about flat Earth, we're talking about the beginning. It wasn't like the Earth became flat after it was created. It was created, in my opinion, and I think this is a logical way to look at this, from the very beginning as a flat, and I would even argue an infinite plane.
Sure.
So to associate religious beliefs with this truth that we all is, I think, taken away from the idea that man recognized this very early on, before anything was written down, before there was any ideology, before there was any discussion of the four corners of the earth. Man already inherently knew the shape of his world through experience. My opinion.
Sure, I agree with that 100% too. Like I said, I reference that the Bible does teach that the Earth is flat, but I totally agree that that just mankind, because every religion, every old ancient civilization looked at and observed that we lived in a flat stationary plane with a some sort of a dome, or in over it. It could be an infinite plane. I reference back to, for the people out there who are Christians like myself, and the reason, because I've taken I could go as far as saying I've lost friends over, this topic, which is sad, but you know, friends who are supposed to be Christian, Bible believing people. I'm like, hey, look, like if we're my definition, and I believe God's definition of a Christian person is to believe the Bible from front to back and to take it literally. Because if you can't take any part of the Bible, every part of the Bible literally, what if the whole salvation story is wrong? So like that's my, and I when I tell people like, hey, the Bible says the earth is flat, it's just to reference the Christian audience. That being said, 100% agree with you. I think that it's fact that every ancient civilization thought the earth was flat and stationary and things were rotating around us in the sky. That's where there are the wandering stars and stationary stars and, you know, so yeah, 100% agree with you, bro.
Yeah,
100%.
I agree also. I guess it would be a great method for people who already have a belief system to reference what they believe as evidence. But that opens up a bigger can of worms. The ideals of the globe is inherently atheistic.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
an atheist idea. What they have done, they have tricked religious believers into accepting atheistic ideas. And
Mhm.
I don't think many of religious believers recognize it.
Preach. Yep.
And it's kind of like they've taken atheism, removed, let's say, religion out of the schools, and they've inserted theoretical science into the schools. So
Mhm.
even though you have a family religion or a traditional religion, they're telling you an opposing view. So children actually have a conflict going on. It was Big Bang or it was the Garden of Eden. Which one was it? You know what I mean?
Right.
So religious people have been tricked into accepting atheistic ideas.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's a
I
fact.
tell people, all the time, I'm like, hey, like you have to understand this whole heliocentric globe Earth and evolution all go hand in hand in hand. You can't
Right.
have one without the other, and like they have a hard time with that, and like that's why I laugh at them when they're like, oh, science. I'm like, okay, so you're a Christian, you're saying that you were created by God. Are you saying that you believe in evolution? Oh no, I don't believe in evolution. Well, that's mainstream science. That's your mainstream science for you. Like, and yes, they all go hand in hand. The globe Earth needs the globe Earth needs heliocentrism, and they need the evolution, Big Bang evolution in there. you know and that's what really bothers me with like people like Kent Hovind is like, I'm a big fan of his work as far as like what he goes like to for against evolution and disproving that and all that, but like he's just not on board yet 100%. But he's one
Oh
of those
man,
people.
yeah, and I mean you referenced Robert Sungenis. He was actually debating for heliocentrism. Well, he actually no, I'm not, I don't want to. I don't
Geocentrism.
want to skip ahead. He was a geocentrist, but he still saw the Earth as a globe. I
Right.
believe. I
Right.
think that's what it
Yep.
was because I was
That's what
trying to
he
listen.
believes.
I was trying to listen to because he was at the conference debating with Rob Skiba, and I like I remember the movie that you're talking about.
The principle.
I
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah, The Principal. It was dude, that was a good movie.
Great movie.
But then I'm at the conference. I'm watching this debate between Rob and Rob, and
Yeah.
you know I like halfway through. I'm like, is this guy? Wait, he's not a global believer. Wait, he's a geocentric global believer. Man, get what? I'm like, dude, you're so close, so close.
So close.
But
Yeah.
come on, man. But yeah. So I just wanted to jump back in because you had mentioned Kent Hovind, and he goes hard against flat Earth.
He does.
I think he's actually a level up from Sun Genesis. Sun Genesis is like a couple steps away if he gets a hold of that no spin, no curvature aspect.
Yeah,
But Kent Hovind is like, I mean, his heels are locked in, man. He's not playing.
what I don't understand is why is it that, and it's not just about Christianity. We have the same problem in the Muslim faith and some of the other faiths as well. Why can't they identify the contradiction? How can you have religious belief systems that are in direct support of theoretical science? It's not possible. They're two opposing views. They're absolutely, first of all, the atheists, which drives the theoretical science idea, and the reason I know this is because I'm a former atheist myself, is this is the explanation for how our world came to be. Absent a designer, absent a creator, absent any form of divinity. This is their argument. And I'm telling you, theoretical scientists are 99% atheists. If you find a theoretical scientist who is a Christian, that is a rarity. Almost all of them are atheistic or atheists. So I don't understand how religion has backpedaled and allowed their belief system to be compromised by theoretical scientists. I don't understand that. I'm not religious. I'm not of a traditional religion, but I don't understand how they gave that up. And to me, it kind of makes me feel like, because we're talking of religious folk, right? The majority of religious folk accept theoretical ideas. The majority, well over 80, 85, maybe even 90%. If that is the case, they've been tricked out of their belief system. And it seems like they're just meshing it in and they're accepting it, but they don't recognize that it's atheistic in nature.
Yeah, I talk to a lot of people who, I tell them like, hey, this whole globe deception is meant to take us further away from our creator. And I get two different people. I get the people who say that they look at the grandeur of the universe or the multiverse, supposedly, and they see that and they say, oh, God must be so wonderful. And I'm like, well, you're missing it, because God is, yes, magnificent, no doubt, but why would he put us as this small speck in the Milky Way, or our solar system? That's a small speck in our Milky Way, that's a small speck in the universe, and the universe is supposedly a small speck of the multiverse. So like, I try to tell him, like, why would he do that? And then on top of that, like then I get the other people who say, oh, well, I don't believe in God because, science disproves God, we'll just say a creator. For me, it's the Yeshua, Jehovah God. But, for some people, it's just a creator of some sort. Um, and, uh, and I'm like, that's what the entire thing was for. It was all to, take away. Even Edwin Hubble wrote in his book, that he observed redshift, in what he was observing in the stars and planets when he was looking out of the Hubble Space Telescope for the first times. He observed redshift, which proved that things were circling around us. And he said he couldn't accept. He wrote it down that he couldn't accept this idea because that would prove that we were the center of the universe. So he wasn't okay with that, and it points to what you're saying about these people are atheists and non-believers because they want to believe that we did happen by accident.
Right. Right. I'm sorry, I don't mean to grandstand here. It's just that this issue came up in my panel yesterday, and it's like, one, the folks that were on my panel that were in support of this idea was giving the Bible credit for flat Earth, flat Earth, right? Which I totally disagree with.
Sure.
But that's neither here nor there. Then they went on this thing as if the ideas of, well, it was kind of like, in my opinion, they didn't understand And the reason I understand this so well is because I call myself a recovering atheist. I, I do realize that there is something greater than myself, but that is the direct opposition of what atheism is all about. There is nothing greater than yourself when you're an atheist, and all there is what you have now in this one life. That is the ideal of being an atheist, and it's more of a belief in man than it is in something greater than yourself. So as long as people have those ideas, how can a religious institution embrace that in any way?
Mm.
But that's exactly what we have today. Everyone's embracing or accepting, well, science, and science, I'm gonna let my religious kids go to this public school and absorb these false teachings of atheists. I just don't understand how you guys have a tolerance for any of that. But it seems like we're conditioned into it. And now that we're conditioned into it, these children are now walking away from your traditional religions, and they have no allegiance to religion anymore because the confusion was set in at such a young age.
Mm.
So you are, many of you are assisting in the dismantling of your traditional religions by allowing your children to accept the contradiction. And if you think about us, for example, we grew up believing it too, right? You
Yeah.
guys just told me you grew up religious, right? So all three of us, we grew up accepting the globe earth model, right? But
Yep.
you guys were able to maintain your traditional religion or your family-based religions, but still accepted the globe. So it's a major conflict that I think no one's really talking about. That we're kind of, I think it's a source of a problem. I really do. I
Yeah.
really
I
do.
think I think I might have mentioned it before you joined the conversation. I don't know if you were
Yeah,
there for that part of it or not, but I started off saying that 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 I was always, because I actually didn't grow up a Christian. I became a Christian when I was a teenager, but even then still I always just tried to fit my Christianity around what modern science taught, and that made it very difficult. And I'd find myself often in conversations and even like debate with people about different topics, and their whole as I was trying to like you know uh you spread the word, essentially, like, people would like be trolling my beliefs with their science, and it, it caught me in a lot of different places. And the reason it was catching me is because I was trying to fit what I believed into, you know, modern science, and it just doesn't work. And you're completely right,
exactly.
100%. And that's what it bothers me so much is that so many of the first people I thought I could go to about the fact that first of all, I looked into flat earth stuff for over a year to get myself very prepped to be able to speak and debate about it before I let anybody know that I actually believed the earth was flat. And I thought the first people I could go to were my Christian friends, and be like, hey, you know, the Bible says the earth is flat. And then how quickly they were to try to dispute the Bible. And I was like, man, do you all hear what you're saying? Like, do you understand what you're saying right now? And, oh, we can't take the Bible, it speaks metaphorically. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It actually speaks literally. It's literally speaking right now. And so yeah, you're completely right, bro. Like, we ourselves, I mean, I don't include myself in that position, because anybody I talk to, especially if they're Christian, hey, the Bible's a flat earth book. I want to talk to them about that right away. But like, and the Bible, I would say, is a book that is in support of the flat earth. I definitely won't call it the flat earth book, just so we're on the same page there. But
Yeah.
but yeah, like, I 100% agree that we're wondering why people are becoming more atheistic and not more, it's because we're being taught from a young age to, not believe what the Bible says, or what, the our churches are saying, or what we're being taught at home, and to accept what the mainstream believes. And that's probably why we have, so many people out there who are like huge into like the liberal movements and whatnot too, because not to off topic, but it's just what's mainstream accepted. And people are just into what's widely accepted, so they feel included, you know.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, that's just part of human nature that we all kind of want to gather together, congregate with like-minded individuals. But the way that the school system's going, I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, it's a degree of spiritual warfare, actually. I mean, this whole flat Earth versus the system, the globe system, man. It's it goes beyond. It goes, arguing about the shape of the Earth is like we're in this constant battle to wake people up mentally to idea that they are more than some random accident, speck of dust out in the middle of the infinite vacuum of space. And I remember being indoctrinated with the heliocentric model, and I used to think about, dude, you may have seen that one video, the universe. And I mean, it starts off in the I want to say in the Himalayan mountains, and then it just keeps zooming out until you can see the whole globe. It just keeps zooming out till you can see the whole solar system. You can go out and see the whole galaxy, and it just keeps going out and out and out. And by the time it gets to the edge of the universe that they've all recorded with all their nice CGI and data, you're looking at the Earth is that small. The Earth, it makes you feel insignificant. At least that's how I felt, like halfway through the video when they get out so far that you can't even perceive the entire Earth, let alone your small self upon it. So it's all about, just taking away our own, I don't know, just the idea that you're more important than some accident. And then you got to think about what that does to your psyche beyond that. So if you're looking at yourself like you're just some random accident as a result of a godless big bang billions of years ago, if you're looking at yourself like that, you're looking at everybody like that because that's your perspective. So then you treat other people as such. And that's one of those things that's led us to where we are in society now, man. It's just there's a lack of compassion, there's a lack of love for your fellow man. It's just, it all kind of stems from that, but
Right.
it's a big picture. It's a big
Yeah.
picture, and a lot of people miss that.
It's funny you said that. I'll never forget. And this is before I was a geocentrist or a flat earther. This is when I was in high school. And actually, I wish I knew where my high school study hall teacher was to this day, because I would love to call him and see what it is he was trying to imply to me then. But like I said, I went to a Christian high school, and I was sitting in study hall one time, and I was reading not a biology book. I was reading an earth science book, and there was a picture of the Milky Way galaxy, and he was walking by. Me and him were pretty tight, and he goes, "Hey, what's up, Ruben?" I go, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" And he goes, "Hey, I got a question for you." I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" And I think I was a junior, and he goes, "What's you see that picture of the galaxy right there?" I go, "Yep." He goes, "Who do you think took that picture?" And I looked at him. I go, I don't know. I I'm sure like they got some sort of camera out there that took the picture." And he goes, "Let me ask you something." He goes, "Or let me tell you something. You know that we've never even," and at this point it's true. At that point in time it was definitely true. Not even accepted mainstream yet. He was like, "We've never even made it out of our solar system, right?" He goes, "How do you think they took a picture of the galaxy?" And I sat there and I looked at him and I go, I never thought about that. He goes, "It's a drawing." Just straight up told me it was a drawing. And I was like, "Oh, that's really interesting." And I didn't pay much attention to it then. I kind of just like let it go in one ear out the other. But there I was 5 years later or 6 years, whatever, however long ago or later, that I'd come across like looking into flat earth stuff. I was like, man. And you know what? I was taking a jog. This was like, I think it was last summer. I was back home in Indiana. I was taking a jog with one of my best friends, and we were talking about this. Just we were having a discussion. I go, bro, there's no real pictures of like the Milky Way galaxy. He goes, dude, don't even start with me. There are definitely pictures of the Milky Way galaxy. I go, I go, I go. How does anybody take them? And I was like, when we get done with this jog, we did like a 2 mile jog, something real simple, just to loosen up. And I was like, when we get done with this jog, we're gonna look up pictures of the Milky Way galaxy, and we're gonna see if there's any real pictures. And sure enough, underneath all of them, they say that they're artist, conceptions. And he was literally
Yeah.
sitting on the couch, still a glow birther, still, a glow. He's gonna watch this when it's done too. I was talking to him before.
Oh, cool.
Still
What's up,
glow
man?
birth.
How you doing?
Good, yeah, that's one of my best friends, like a brother to me, without a doubt. But like he was heartbroken, sitting there on the couch, heartbroken. I was like, bro, I'm telling you, man, like, and I send people like that. I send them links and stuff like that, and the way I know that they're not watching them is because I ask them and they tell me something dumb, and I'm like, dude, did you not watch? like if you want to stay ignorant, that's fine, but like, don't laugh at what I believe. Like, ha ha ha, that's ridiculous. And then you present to me this ridiculous argument that I literally just sent you something to read about. Like, and I'm like, come on, man, we're past that. These aren't people who never went to high school. You're talking to. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah.
Can I? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
Can I make a statement that will, and I'm hoping it will ignite some thought, that will make me very unpopular in the chat? The easy thing to do nowadays is to attack religion. That's the very easy thing. There's a lot of history of religions, manipulation of people. Let's think of the witch hunts and all the other things that we've done throughout history of religion, right? And religious people defend that by saying those were not true Christians, or those are not true Muslims, or whatever.
Mm.
I'm going to make to all the haters of religion. All right. Theoretical science is more dangerous than religion.
Mm.
Theoretical science is more dangerous than religion. And the reason why I can make that statement, and I think I'm completely grounded in reality by saying that, is because religion, for it to truly have an impact on people, positive or negative, requires belief. You must believe in that religion if it's going to benefit you or if it's going to be used against you. There's some type of belief in some way. Religion is actually more honest than theoretical science. And the reason why I say that is because it tells you right up front, you must believe. You must believe. If you don't believe, this is not for you. You must believe, you must believe, you must believe. So for religion to have any value or any impact on you in some way requires belief. Theoretical science says we don't need your beliefs. It's true. This is how it is. It's so true that we're going to mandate it on every little boy, little girl that attends any form of education in our society. You don't have to learn Bible verses in school, but you can't graduate. You can't move on to the next grade until you'll be able to regurgitate the ideas of theoretical science. Theoretical science is forced down your throat. Religion is usually a choice. That's what makes it more honest. So when you look in the chat, you're going to see bunch of what I've been watching here is people bad religion is, how bad religion is. But my argument is theoretical science is more dangerous than religion in this day and age. Now, in the past, I might not be able to say that. But now, religion is a choice. Theoretical science is mandated for all our children. And it doesn't require you to believe it. You just have to accept it. That's my hypothesis on our present day state of atheistic ideas, because that's the foundation for me to say why it's so dangerous. It's requiring that there is no creator. It is saying black holes are real. It is saying parallel universes are real. It is saying string theory is real. Computer simulation is real. And there are tons, if not hundreds, if not thousands of videos or perpetuating that lie in the minds of children. You can't get away from theoretical science in our society today. To be religious, it's a choice. You have to go to church. You have to read your Bible. You have to do this. You have to do that. Theoretical science says you don't have to do anything, but this is the truth and this is how it is.
Sit back and relax.
I think it's more dangerous than religion. My argument.
I know. I like that. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
It's real. Yeah. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that, homie.
Feel free. It is. I mean, in the past, what I'm saying may not be true because religion was forced down the throats of everyone. I'm not just talking about Christianity, also the Muslim faith or whatever. Some of the first people to enslave Africans were Arabs who were Muslims. So it's one thing to think of religion in the past. It's another thing to think about religion today. Today, theoretical science is mandated in the minds of all people in some way. It's so mandated that even religious people that have opposing views must accept it.
Yeah.
If they want a high school education, if they want a college degree, they have to embrace the ideas of theoretical science.
Yeah. Like a question like, do you think man is still evolving? You're not teaching somebody, you know, like that, a question like that on a test. Like, do you think man is still evolving? Like you're teaching, you're not presenting the opportunity for someone to say, well, I don't think man evolved. I think man was created as man, you know, like, or woman created as woman. Instead, you're just asking me, is man still evolving? So if I say no, that means man stopped evolving. And if I say yes, then we're still evolving. You know, that's not teaching people, you know, how to think. That's teaching them what to think. So yeah, you're completely right about that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that was a question with a foregone conclusion attached to it already. Yeah. It's that sorcery word magic that they use.
Do you think Mars is 3 billion miles away or 4 billion miles away? And why can you see it with your naked eye at certain times of the year? You know.
Right.
I've been trolling people on that Mars rover. I'm like, man, I can't believe they have the technology for someone to be controlling the Mars rover on Mars 3 billion miles away through our Earth's atmosphere, the radiation in space, and Mars's own atmosphere, and I can't even get cell service sometimes. You know, shoot, I don't know about y'all, but my phone chat's a little bit choppy sometimes. And like with you guys right now, and we can't be that far away from each other. We're all in the United States, I'm pretty sure. Like, you know, within at least 1,000 or 2,000 miles of each other, and you're telling me that, and we've got more technology in our computers and phones than they did in the entire lunar module in 1969. You know, and my service is a little choppy. You know, it's not even as clear as the, you know, Nixon phone call to the White House or to the moon. You know, that's crazy to think that. It's crazy to think.
Right. And then it takes let me see, a certain amount of electricity to be able to send a signal. You know, I mean, it's just you can't just send a signal just because you think about it. You know, it takes an electric charge in order to send that signal. Mm-hmm. So them being able to, you know, transmit those images from Mars X amount of millions of miles away.
No, 3 billion, bro. 3 billion.
3 billion? Oh, that's it? Oh,
That's it.
I was thinking it was like 10 billion or something, man.
No,
My
no,
bad.
Pluto's supposedly like 9 or 10 billion or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so billions of miles away, they're sending back these images, and like you said, like through the Van Allen belts and all that. So that we're getting these crystal clear images, not only
Perfect.
from billions of miles away, but also it's transmitted to the Earth while moving 67,000 miles through an hour through space. You know, and then through the Van Allen belts, and I'm like, come on, man,
Right. Well,
let's.
we still got the Voyager 11 out there, supposedly floating around past the Plutoids, playing songs from 1970. To all the aliens out there. We got the
Oh my
Voyager
goodness.
11 out there with a record spinning,
Yeah.
playing music to tell their life out there that we're there. Like, come on, man, get out of here. The Voyager, it's navigating its way through all of these meteors, and not getting sucked into other planets, not getting sucked into these planets' gravitational fields, but it's getting close enough to send back these crystal perfect pictures. Like, oh my goodness, it's hysterical. I ask people all the time when they start talking about like gravity and stuff like that. I go, it's funny. I go, can you explain to me how the sun has a gravitational pull on every one of the planets? We'll say Neptune for example, how it has a gravitational pull or effect on Neptune, but doesn't suck the moon into its gravity. And they say, oh, well, the moon is so close to Earth that the Earth's gravity has a hold on it. I go, let me explain myself a little more clearly. The
Hmm.
sun has a gravitational effect on Neptune, which is supposedly billions of miles past the Earth. So it just skips right. So now you're telling me the Earth's gravitational pull is stronger than the sun's? Why doesn't the Earth pull Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, all of them into its gravitational pull then? Because technically they're closer to Earth than they are the sun, right? But these are
Yeah.
things that
Yeah.
like people just don't think about. They're just not. I'm like, if the Earth's gravity is trumping the sun's gravity over the moon, then why aren't these other planets falling into the gravitational effect of the Earth? Because technically they're closer than the sun is. And this is just stuff that you just have to sit there and think about for a moment. But you're not taught to think about it. You're just taught to accept it, you know. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's crazy.
I've asked that question. I wonder about that too. Um, that was one of those things that came up. I saw that a while ago on another video. It was a good question, I thought. And yeah, I'm like, I mean, basically, like, why doesn't the sun take our moon away? What's up with that? Like all these other planets, like billions of miles beyond the Earth, they're affected by the sun's gravitational pull because they're still in orbit around the sun, right? And that's why
Right,
they're still in orbit around the sun, right?
right.
Oh, like there are
Hey,
5 other planets beyond the
Merc-
Earth that are affected by
Mercury
the
and
sun's
Venus,
gravitational pull.
right?
But
Mercury and Venus, those must be some strong planets, man. Those things, I don't know
um,
how they haven't been sucked into the sun yet.
yeah, I'm saying because large masses attract smaller masses to them. At least that's what they tell us about
We're
gravity. I'm
told.
like, wow, I I don't know how they explain that, but I'm pretty sure somebody has some sort of word salad to toss in your direction for that.
Right,
So,
right. Exactly.
and shoot, that's gravity out in space, folks. It behaves differently here on Earth. Out in space, it does some other stuff. Here on Earth,
Right.
it causes, mass attracts to the center of mass, blah, blah, blah. Out in space, though, gravity just causes it to orbit around stuff.
Perfect.
Nothing's slamming into each other out in space. It's
Right,
just,
right.
but yeah. But we're the crazy ones, though.
Oh, we're the crazy ones. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Because 20 billion years ago, when literally nothing exploded, So right now, the most dangerous substance to man is nothing. Literally, I mean that literally and figuratively. That nothing is the most dangerous explosive I've ever dealt with. But
Yeah.
I've never been trained how to use nothing. So, um,
Right.
I've never had a safe. You know what it's like in the military. I've never had a safety class on how to deal with nothing, even though it's extremely explosive.
Right.
Uh,
Got,
I've
got a
sat
nice
through all.
4-hour block of instruction on that.
Man,
Like
I've
what?
sat through. You know, we've both been through the death by PowerPoint a million times over how to handle weapons and explosives, but you know, I've never had a safety class on how to deal with the most explosive of them all, which is nothing. Um,
I'm saying.
yeah,
At least that one time. That one time,
that
man.
one time,
You never know. I mean, it was that one time that nothing exploded into
right.
everything. Hadn't done it, since then. But hey,
Well,
you never
you
know. So
you have to
we
understand
got
though,
this
bro.
4-hour class for you on how to
You have to
deal with the dangers of nothing.
right. The universe is more safe now that there's a million or billion floating things traveling at crazy speeds. The universe is more safe now because when it was nothing, it was super dangerous. You know,
Oh yeah,
we all know a crowded room is way more dangerous than an empty room. You know, that's just simple. That's just simple observable science right there. You
right.
know, yeah. See,
Yeah, man.
it's so funny when you understand heliocentric Copernican globe model. Like when you understand it better than the people who are for it, and then you control them about it, it just makes the game way more fun. You know, and it just
I might have to try that, man. Just throw people out of nowhere about this stuff. Sometimes I do that with these cats at work. Like, oh man, hey, you hear about that rover on Mars? Yeah, isn't that crazy how they can send these signals back and these clear pictures of the surface of Mars and all that, but we don't have a real picture of Earth in
right.
2019.
You're telling me
I'm
they
saying,
they were I just heard some stuff about how they found an Earth-like planet, which is, got to be the 300th Earth-like planet they've supposedly found in their, I
oh
don't know what
yeah,
they're doing, but like they're like, "Oh, we found an Earth-like planet. We measured its core." They literally said, I'm like, "Really?" Cuz the farthest hole we drilled down in our Earth was like 7.8 miles. We don't even know
yeah,
what our core looks like. And you're telling
yeah.
me, what the core of this planet, a quintillion miles away is or whatever? Like, come on, get out of here.
Oh man.
Get out of here. Oh
Have you
man.
guys have you guys ever heard how they explain having the ability to send pictures and video back to Earth from Mars? Have you guys ever heard the explanation for that?
No, tell me.
No,
Oh
no, no,
no,
sir. Have you heard that?
no, I was hoping you guys did.
Oh no, I got
No.
I got nothing.
Wi-Fi. I mean, that is some serious Wi-Fi.
Right. That's some serious Wi-Fi, bro. Like they oh man, it's crazy. It's just crazy. And like how do they get it to navigate perfectly like to Mars? Like how let's send this thing out from the same place and we'll get it to navigate like the moment it gets past like the atmosphere, how does it just not get sucked right into the sun's gravity?
I
No,
think
Like
they
look,
got a long string. They got a long string.
a long string. Yeah. They
this
they
is where
they
this is
shot
where I
one
was
of
going to
those
play
harpoon
glove head.
guns.
I'm gonna play for a minute. And is that they did all the calculations. They figured out the max propulsional rate of the rocket that was sending the probe out to Mars, right? And since they had already done the calculations and they knew where Mars was going to be out in the universe,
Oh,
and they also took into account that where the Earth would be traveling and the trajectory around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour. And then they looked at where Mars was going to be way out there. And they said, okay, Mars is going to be right here according to the speed of the rocket sending the probe. It's going to be able to intersect with Mars right about there, and then it's going to be able to slow itself down
wow.
from 27,000 miles per hour, because I did the calculation on that. I'm like, so from the time it left Earth to the time that it got to Mars, it would have had to been traveling at least 27,000 miles per hour, or unless, hey, let's say 20,000, but it would have had to come out here, and then Mars is here, the rocket's here. It would have had to get out here and then perfectly match up at this certain intersection point out in the vastness of space, in the middle of the solar system, while everything's being pulled in multiple directions, millions of miles per hour, and then slow itself down, flip itself around, hit the reverse thrust, and perfectly with no problem.
I know how they do it. I just thought about it. they got satellites that act as cell phone towers, right? Strategically placed all the way back until it gets back to Earth. So they send a signal to this tower, which goes to another tower, which goes to another tower, which goes to another tower, and eventually it gets to NASA headquarters.
There it is. Frequency hopping.
Right yes.
There. It's a series of relay satellites sending back these. But they can't turn any of those around and take a complete picture of the Earth.
No, absolutely not. That's asking too much, bro. Come on. They don't make they don't get paid enough every day. 52 million a day is not enough. They need maybe if we up the ante a little, maybe 54, 55 million a day, they could turn one of those satellites around. And you know, how again do they make combustion for a rocket in space? I forget. And why isn't the Tor vacuum of space ripping away at our atmosphere? That bothers me too.
How do they steer it?
Yeah, like how do they steer it for real? Like
remote control, man.
Oh, it's remote control. That makes sense.
But there's no way. Right? So how are you gonna make it right?
No, they have they have compressed air as thrusters. So I mean, it's not so much. It's not so much like they have fuel. It's just that they'll have the rocket twist off this way, and then they'll point it back that way, and it'll go, and then they'll just cause it to kind of move a little bit through space. So I mean, it's just a release of compressed air in the vacuum, and nothingness is what causes it to just like, and then it just flows by like that. Yeah.
Right, but they have to.
How does the signal from NASA headquarters to the spacecraft?
Well, I mean, they also have to, adjust the satellites, because I mean, it doesn't all happen in just one fell swoop. You know, like the satellites pointing at the that's sending the signal, and then it takes the data, it absorbs the information, measures it and all that, and then there's another satellite pointing in the opposite direction towards the next relay satellite, and then sends it in that direction. And there's multiple operators for each one of the satellites. That's why NASA needs so much money to pay the multiple satellite operators, because there's a guy steering the satellite, causing the compressed air to shoot out, and then there's the person who's intercepting the signal from the other satellite so far away, and then there's the guy who's also aiming the satellite off into the other relay satellites. I mean, that's pretty much how it. Yeah, that everybody knows that.
I have two questions for you, though. I have two questions for you. My first one, is they have to bring their own oxygen, though, to use for that compressed air. So do they ever run out of that compressed air on that billion-mile trip? Also, my other question would be, when it does land on Mars, what kind of battery is in that machine to allow it to run for that long?
It's solar, bro. That's why we got the solar panel.
Oh, it's solar. Okay.
Yeah, solar. And it's like, since it has no atmosphere out in space, the radiation from the sun is absorbed that much quicker out in the vacuum of space. So that's how that works. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Well, that answers my questions.
All right, cool.
Thank you, Professor.
Hey, you do pretty good for a globe troll right there, man. I love it. I love it.
I'm saying, man, it's a game we play sometimes.
Wait, you mean to tell me, bro? You mean to tell me that you haven't believed in a flat Earth your entire life? At one point, you're a globe believer? I can't believe it. Oh my goodness! I had no idea. I thought everyone who thought flat Earth knew that. Like, I thought they all grew up like weirdly religious and like just thought the Earth was flat from childhood. I had no idea that at one point you actually believed there was a globe. Wow.
Oh no, dude! Look, I'm saying, bro, I was all over that stuff, man. I wanted to make enough money so I could have myself cryogenically frozen, so I could go through space to go to another one of these planets that they kept telling me that we were going to inhabit. And it
Mm.
was, I mean, it was going to be like 1,000 years down the line, but I was going to be frozen. So who cares? And
Whatever.
technology would have just been off the hook by the time I got to this other planet, man. So I wanted to be frozen. I wanted to be shipped to this other planet and then, you know, finish out my life out in space on another planet with all these aliens and, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it was going to be dope. I wanted to do all that. I seriously thought that was a possibility.
I got a question. Did they ever prove that could possibly be done, where a person could be put in a state where they're frozen, or their life has delayed, and then they could bring them back to life? Have they ever proved that?
They've never proven that. There are people like Walt Disney.
Man, I mean, have you seen Vanilla Sky?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's true.
Hey, you haven't seen Vanilla Sky?
Wait, ain't you ever seen Rocket Man? Rocket Man.
Yeah, look, they can look. Demolition Man. Rob Wayne just said Demolition Man, straight up. You know, I mean, yeah. You look, the idea that you look by the time they freeze me, and then like, you know, a few hundred years in the future, a few thousand years or whatever, hey, they already figured out how to unthaw me with no problem. I'm trusting that the technology is going to catch up with that. Wait, let's just freeze now, and then the tech will take care of that later. The whole thawing process, man.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, now that I think about it, I do remember seeing Jason X, where he went to space, and he was frozen, and they unfroze him, and he like killed everyone on the spaceship. So yeah, you're right. That does happen.
Right. There you go. The technology is going to catch up, man. You all right? Come on now. Think about it. Think about it.
Yeah. And then I just saw that new Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I'm pretty sure Princess Leia was floating through space, and then Thor, you know, which we could argue because he's a god from Asgard. You know, he was also like asleep in space and landed on a spaceship. So I guess it is true.
You guys ain't naming no black guys. You got to name Wesley Snipes.
I'm saying Wesley Snipes. Straight up.
Oh my God. Straight up.
He followed Sylvester Stallone through time. You know, his mortal enemy.
Rob said in the chat. Rob said Sylvester Stallone and Wesley.
Yeah. I'm saying, man. Snipes came out with the blonde hair. Yeah, man. And look, beyond being able to be frozen cryogenically and then woke up in the future, you can also be programmed to learn kung fu on the way.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
You're right.
I'm saying because they can look. Continuing on with the advancement of technology, they're going to be able to hook up these little diodes or whatever to your ice cube and beam this information into your brain while you're in cryostasis. It's going to be awesome.
Straight up.
I can't keep doing this.
MMA fighter in the future, all they're going to do is program you. You're instantly an MMA fighter. All the work.
Oh man, all this hard work for nothing.
Yeah.
He's gonna program it.
That's it. That's it, man. You're gonna come out faster and stronger. You know, more dangerous. You're gonna know more moves and all that stuff. I was into that stuff too. That's what I'm saying, man. And it's like people keep forgetting. We believed all this stuff just the same. Yep. You know, I thought I was going to space. I thought I was going to be on another planet at some point after I woke up from my cryo sleep from the technology that they figured out hundreds of years while I was in cryostasis. I thought that at one point. You know what I'm saying?
Why do they have movies to perpetuate this idea? It's like all these ideas come up. Yeah. I mean, it knocks it out the ballpark. It gets people to believe it simply because there's a movie to back it up.
Right, but then I'm crazy for watching a YouTube video that says flat Earth. You know, I totally agree with you. But just go back to go back to the moon landing and Stanley Kubrick, and even then, like, look at the universal. I blow people's minds when I go, hey, when did we go to the moon? Oh, 1969. Okay, cool. You know, quote unquote, right? Because we didn't actually go to the moon, but 1969 is when we supposedly went to the moon, which means that would have been the first time we could have ever snapped a long distance photo of the Earth, which have all been proven to be photoshopped. And the most famous blue marble photo from 1973, right? Well, look up the Universal Studios logo from 1927. Just look it
Right.
up. It is
Yeah.
the perfect picture of the globe. Universal
Right.
Studios
Boom.
logo, 1927. I go, they knew exactly what the world looked like. Well, who would have known that it turned out looking like a pear? Still, like, you know, they they knew in 1927 before we had ever, you know, 26 years after they learned how to make a plane lift off the ground, they knew what the world looked like perfectly. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Can I say
crazy.
Yeah,
something
man.
about the pear
Yeah,
real quick? About the pear? You know when he said that the Earth is more like a pear, that
yeah,
means there's more of a deeper curvature, right?
sure.
Doesn't it?
In some places,
Doesn't it? Yeah, in some places there's like some serious curvature
serious
going.
curvature, bro.
So when he said that, like, what the hell was he thinking? This is why he got sex cases against him now, because they got sick of him. They got sick of
Oh
him.
man, I
We
wanted to
gotta
say
get
that earlier when Dell was talking. I wanted to say that earlier, and I
yeah,
forgot to. But yes, all of a sudden he makes that stupid comment about, oh, it looks flat, and next thing you know, he's got all these sex cases against him. You ain't lying, bro. You ain't lying.
yeah.
They're trying to get
Yeah.
rid of him.
Yeah.
Trying
Yeah.
to get rid of him and bring
I'm
somebody
saying.
else in.
Yep, they're trying to get rid of him.
Yeah. I
Well,
think they have because
I,
he
I,
can't
I
bounce
think.
back from any cases.
Yeah, no, that's not happening. He's about to be Harvey Weinstein out this piece. Yeah, he's freaking done. He's freaking done. Um, yeah, I'm saying that stuff is flat. But yeah, what they're trying to do now, taking other celebrities, trying to prop them up, like Will Smith. He's been, I mean, you remember like towards the end of last year, Will Smith is doing these live stream interviews with
Yeah.
astronauts and whatnot, trying to push that stuff. I think what's going to happen is they're going to start taking these celebrities from Hollywood, because a lot of people are starting to figure out the shady side of Hollywood, and
Oh
starting to
yeah,
pull away from that, and people are starting to get more of their information from YouTube. So it's like these guys like Jack Black, Will Smith, folks like that are starting. Owen Benjamin, even are starting to be more prevalent on YouTube, and gonna just kind of bring their audience over there and make them more human, more relatable,
yeah,
Right.
like that. You know what I mean? But they're still going to be pushing that propaganda, man. That
right,
the fake system.
Right.
yeah.
Well,
And
can I
and
go ahead?
what's his name? Stanley Kubrick tried to expose that with what's that movie he made?
The Shining.
No, not well. The Shining was exposing the moon landing, but what's his other movie that he
Yeah.
made?
I,
Uh,
like,
Oh, Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut. Eyes Wide Shut. Yep, he totally
Dude, that
exposed
movie
that.
was a beast.
can
That movie
Yeah.
was a beast.
I say this just for the benefit of the chat and the people that's watching. I went to high school with Will Smith.
Oh wow,
We
wow, that's
double,
awesome.
we double dated on the prom.
Huh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I went to high school with that guy, and I'm gonna tell you this: what makes his success and how he became the Fresh Prince of Bel Air and a famous rapper and all this stuff. It all happened in a summer.
Mm.
He graduated in 1986 from Overbrook High School. Our girlfriends were like best friends, and by the end of the summer, I was watching him perform live at the Apollo with the best DJ in Philly. He blew up literally in 3 months.
Mm.
And that was not Masonic. That's how I make my threes. Here go my three. He literally grew up in 3 months. Blew up in 3 months.
Blew up in 3 months. Wow.
Yep. He was not a famous rapper when he was in high school. He was not. He was somebody we knew that rapped, but he wasn't famous. We had other famous rappers who went to our high school. You know, guys you probably don't know that were well known all over the city. But he was just a guy that did the beatbox, and he would, rap in the lunchroom, stuff like that, but he was nowhere near famous. And this guy graduated and he became a mega superstar like within 3 to 6 months after graduating from high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I really like Will Smith. As a matter of fact, every time I karaoke, I always karaoke a lot of his music. You know,
Yep.
I really like Will Smith, but
Yep.
yeah, and I didn't realize he was doing so many live streams with astronauts, which, you know, I mean, I'm not gonna like him any less because of that, you know, but if, you know, push came to shove and I had to argue with him about something, I would be more than happy to. I'd probably ask him for his autograph afterwards, but you know, like
Oh yeah,
that's
he was a cool guy all through high
yeah,
school. He was a
yeah,
cool guy. The way he was in the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, that's how he was in high school.
I could
He was
see that.
a silly guy, jokey, that kind of stuff. He was cool, but he blew up like instantly as soon as he graduated from high school.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
Hmm. Okay, I missed all that.
Oh, it's all good. We was just talking about how cool Will Smith was, and you know, like you know that he went to high school with him, and how he blew up real quick over, you know, some stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, that's what's up. So,
Mhm.
so hey, Ruben, when you looking to get back in the ring, man?
definitely. Hopefully, this I would like to in April or May at the latest. Um, just got a little bit of weight to cut down. You know, in good shape, training hard, and hopefully, you know, this spring for sure have a busy summer, spring and fall, and you know, hopefully really blow up this year. So um, nothing scheduled as of right now. Nothing, no dates, but a potential date would be like an April 27th. So yeah, hopefully soon, man. I'm like a horse
Yeah,
chomping at the bit to you know to fight. On the weekends I do security for a club here in Minneapolis, so that keeps me fresh at least, you know, doing security. I stay nice and loose. But
yeah,
you know, I'm definitely chomping to, you know, get back in the octagon and go at it. So
yeah, man. I saw checked out your Instagram. I saw you with that belt on. It looked good on you, bro.
thanks, man. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I got a few belts over the years, and you know, lots of medals and trophies, and you know, I've had a fun time. I've had some really frustrating times for sure, and I've had some really awesome times. So, like I said, this last year was pretty quiet for me just because I had a reoccurring knee injury this past year that, you know, made it hard for me to, you know, train hard and schedule anything. But I still did my best to stay in the gym, and and I've got a awesome sports doctor who um, really helps take care of me, and you know, has helped heal me back into, you know, 100%. So I'm excited. Like I said, I'm excited to get in there and throw hands again, man.
Man, I
Definitely.
feel you.
Yep.
I feel you, man. Shoot, let me see. So, in your opinion, to like start to wrap it up,
Yeah.
why is this so important, man? Like, what's you know, why would they lie?
They would, in my opinion, in for my personal beliefs, they would lie based on the history and based on what I've looked at into the history and the science. They would lie to cover up, I'm gonna say, a creator. In my opinion, that is the Jehovah God, and you know, Satan is the prince and power of the air, and you know, and it's his world right now to deceive. So in my opinion, they're lying they're lying to us to cover up the God that I believe in. That being said, for the Muslims and Hindus and Buddhist people out there, and you name they're lying. You know, the theoretical science, just like Vegan Warrior said, they're lying to cover up and make us to destroy our religious beliefs. That is 100%, in my opinion, why they would lie to us about the shape of our world, um, to make us seem like we're part of this nothingness that just happened by accident, and so we can bow into what it is that they want. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
and
just fold into the
fold in.
one world religion, one world government. You know, we all end up with the microchip and all that. to interact with society. That stuff is coming, by the
It's
way.
coming. That RFID chip. Yep, without a doubt.
Yeah, man.
And people think you're crazy for saying that until you start showing them that it's been implanted into people before
Yeah,
already, and then
yeah,
they're like, "Oh yeah, well, yeah, it actually is a real thing.
yeah.
That's a real thing." So
Yeah.
that's what that's and it means so much to me now, especially the like at first it was like something that I felt like I could keep to myself and maybe share with a few people, but it's been on my heart especially now because I feel like it's more weighing on me, you know, as a Christian man to just like it's supposed to be important as a Christian person to spread God's word. It feels like I feel that same importance to share, the fact that the earth is flat and there is a creator, to help people in the direction, towards God,
Yep.
because like I said earlier in the conversation, so many times in my life, I've tried to tell people, witness to people about, God and Christ, and right away they hit me with, oh yeah, well, the Bible's stupid, science proves the Bible wrong. Well, it doesn't, but um, yeah, that's why I
Right.
think they lie, bro.
Yeah. They what was that? No, it kind of train you away. We talked about this earlier, like how
Yep.
science is basically taught there to subvert the idea of intelligent design, regardless of what name you want to assign to that intelligent designer.
Right.
Science brings us away from that conclusion. So absolutely, man,
Pseudoscience.
all day.
Yeah,
All
pseudoscience
day.
brings me. Real science points towards a creator of some sort all day. Real science.
Yeah, you're right. My bad. The
No,
the science, the religion of scientism. You know,
scientism. Yes.
yeah, that unprovable stuff.
Yeah.
Dark matter,
The
black holes.
98, 98% of everything we believe is dark matter, but we believe it. And we have no idea what dark matter is, by the way. There's a Nobel Peace Prize for the person who can define dark matter. You know?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still looking for that curvature, however
I'm
it
still
goes,
looking for
because
it too, man.
I always come back to, hey, it comes down to two things. Can we? I mean, is there measurable curvature? Is there detectable spin? Until those two things get squared away, I don't want to hear the rest of it. Don't
Right.
come talking to me about Sigma Octantis. Don't talk to me about the Southern Cross. Don't talk to me about well, if you fly from Buenos Aires, Argentina to this place in Santiago, Chile, or what? I'm like, dude, stop. No, it works. It works on a globe. No. Curvature, spin.
Right. No one's denying that you can fly wherever the hell you want from one
Yeah,
point to another. You
yeah,
can literally you can helicopter, which I've been in plenty of helicopters. You can go up in the air and hover, and you know a great way to travel, if the earth was spinning, would be to just get up in a helicopter or a hot air balloon and just wait for the earth underneath us to spin to our location and land right back down on it. you
yeah.
know if
Absolutely,
that were the
absolutely.
case, um, yeah, if that were the case, I got into it with one of my boys who's in the same platoon as I, but they're sniper, and they're talking about, oh yeah, you got to adjust for curvature, um, when
And
you're
the
shooting,
Coriolis
and
effect,
the
right?
Coriolis effect, right? So I asked him like, oh yeah, by the way, so they told me that, they fed me that bullshit, and I go, oh yeah, by the way, what is the curvature of the Earth? And that silence that I just had right there was the exact answer I
Yeah.
got. I
Right.
go, by the way, what is the curvature of the Earth? Oh, 8 miles or 8 inches per mile squared. Are you taking that into um, and yeah, they didn't know the curvature. I go, that's interesting that you would, that has so much to do with the shot you're going to be taking, but
I'm saying, I'm like picturing the sniper out there, man. They're like up on a hill, you know what I'm saying? They got to be sitting. They train to sit in the same position and not
right,
move for extended periods of time. So I'm like, so you're sitting here watching these folks through the scope from so far away, waiting for the order, and you're in your ghillie suit. And then before you take your shot, you got to pull a pencil from behind your ear, pull out a little notepad, do the calculation, take some grass, toss it up like, okay, so there's the windage. Pull up my coordinates here. all right, so the Earth is spinning this way at this speed. They're at this exact distance, so I'm going to have to line this all up. Stop. Nobody's doing that. Cut that out, man. No,
It's not
nobody,
it's not
nobody's doing
happening.
that. Get out of here.
It's not
Well,
happening.
D, I don't know if you know this, but I'm a firearms instructor.
Boom.
Oh,
There is never any adjustment for the spin of the Earth. The
right,
only adjustment they make is for wind. That's it.
Yeah.
They don't make any
right.
adjustment for that.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen.
And by the way, I'm also infantry, ex-infantry as well.
Okay, I'm an infantry guy
So,
myself, so I'm a
yeah.
infantry recon scout. So yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm saying just
That's all lies.
yeah. I mean, so your sniper friend, he needs to research flat Earth.
I agree.
I'm
You know
like
what?
he needs to do some research. That's
I,
all
I
that
tried
is.
I tried to have that conversation with my squad internally, and next thing you know, someone goes, "Oh, hey, Vargas believes the Earth is flat." Next thing you know, like you got people who think that the funny thing is that somebody actually left the room and goes, "Oh yeah, I can't handle Vargas talking about how the Earth is flat, blah blah blah," but he wouldn't come there and try to like shut down anything that I had to say. And
Yeah.
one of my boys who doesn't even who doesn't believe the Earth is flat, but he'll at least have conversations with me about it. He actually straight up told me, he goes, "Well, he probably knows more about the Earth being flat than you do now about it being round. So it's probably a good thing you came in here, like, because you would have got embarrassed." And yeah, that was over a year ago too. Like, so yeah,
Yeah, man. That's good stuff. Uh I'm saying, but that's how it happens, man. People get like super triggered when they hear this stuff.
that's all it is. That's
It's
all it
just
is.
kind of sick. I'm saying it. It's that ego. Like, okay, so this person figured it out and I didn't. No, there's no way I could have been lied to all this time. No way I could be fooled. No, man, no. Look, my whole my job is based on this because I got this job because of my education, and my education is based on this globe being right because I wrote all these papers and I did all these tests and I submitted all these assignments and I learned all these facts about all this stuff and the physics, except the physics of water. Let's not worry about that.
Right, right, right.
And for this guy to come along and say that, all that I learned and everything that I got tied to this is nonsense. I mean, they have to defend it.
Right.
It's
Yep.
it's kind of kind of sick, kind of sad, but
Yeah.
such is life. This is the battle that we're in. It's just folks, have a hard time letting go of what they thought they knew, and a lot of people just don't really have the intestinal fortitude. A lot of people don't want to deal with the ridicule for whatever reason. But I mean, whatever it is, we got to get over it. It's flat.
It's
It's
flat,
flat.
baby.
You got to
It's
deal
flat.
with it. I'm sorry. It's flat, man. You'll figure it out. It's okay.
Yep.
But yeah, man. So yeah, hey, tell everybody where they can find you.
Oh, so y'all can find me on Instagram. That's _marvelous_Vargas. Yeah, you could please feel free to shoot me a follow, shoot me a message if you watch this. I'll be happy to talk with you and connect. Thank you, Dell, for bringing me on and talking to me. Super thankful. Also, Vegan Warrior, pleasure to meet and speak with you too, man. I'd love to come on your page too and have conversation with you. And
All
I'm
right,
just
brother.
kind of,
Anytime.
I,
Anytime.
I decided 2019 is going to be my year to just break out and be public about this. And you know it's a weight off. I've been public about it to like people I have interactions with daily, but to actually use like to get out there on social media and everything, it's a big weight off my shoulder to be doing this interview and talking, and hopefully able to help change some minds out there and open up some eyes to the truth. So
Absolutely, man. Sure appreciate you coming on. Good talking with you. But yeah, folks, I got links to Ruben's YouTube channel, that motivational video. Go give that a thumbs up. I thought that was a pretty cool video. That's in the description on your Instagram page, and then I got his Instagram in the description. So continue to check on Ruben, see what's up. You got any questions? You just he gives the just gave the invite. Get with him, ask him some questions.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, thanks for hanging out. Also, thanks, Mr. Vegan Warrior, for hanging out with us again, sir.
It was a pleasure.
All right, so appreciate it. All right, folks. Special thanks to JB and Steve Harthen. Sure appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. As always, folks, thanks for tuning in. Share, like, subscribe, or don't. It's all good. Make sure you're still subscribed if you'd like to continue to be subscribed, because, YouTube be subscribing people from my channel like that. But anyway, as always, be good to each other. Take care of yourself. Stay flat. See you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.